This episode of Rolled Up is sponsored in part by Platinum Fitness, with locations in Pleasanton, Livermore, and Dublin, California. This morning I had some time to sit down with longtime student of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and former pro basketball player Jordan Borman.
So how did you meet Rhalan?
So Rhalan, I actually, I'm a big YouTuber, and I always try to steal techniques via YouTube. You learn a lot that way. And I actually was watching YouTube on somebody else, and Rhalan was actually in that video. And I remembered his name. I was like, here, let me do some research on him. And I just happened to find out that he was over here in Dublin. And I was like, oh my God, I got to reach out to him. And I shoot him an email. I was like, hey, are you actually in the Dublin area training? And he's like, yes. So that's how I met. I kind of searched him out and wanted to train with him. Mm-hmm. So.
And how did your first training session with him go?
Oh, it was great. It was great. He's unique in the sense where he's very technical, and he has a lot of passion for it. Like, he wants you to get better. It's not like one of those situations where it's like, I'm gonna show you a technique, go in the corner, work on it, and I'll see you next week. You know, he's really passionate. He's really attention to detail. He's really technical, and he also has a little bit of cleverness into it, where he can, you know, you have 2 or 3 different variations on the same exact technique. So I've been doing it on and off for a long time, and I feel confident in when, okay, this person really knows what they're doing, and this person is just, you know, just kind of going through the motions. So yeah, it was awesome. I've been with him ever since, so definitely awesome.
I know you've trained with a lot of different people and a lot of different Gracies as well. Mm-hmm. Do you find anything unique about training with an actual Gracie family member?
Yes, absolutely. It's the passion. It's almost like it's in them. It's part of them. It's who they are. You know, it's rather than somebody like myself who just kind of learns it and adapted to it, rather than it's in you. It's in your blood. You 100% believe in it. And luckily, like you said, I was able to train with a few of them, and they all have their different techniques and ideas and systems and philosophies, but the core is all the same. You know, they believe in it and trust it, and that's what they're about, and they honor it. So Rhalan's no different. Rhalan's special because he's has multiple ways of basically destroying you. Mm-hmm. He can smash you, he can be clever, and he can play possum. He's strong, he's fast, he's flexible. I mean, he's like an assassin, so to speak. So it's really cool.
Tell me a little bit about your professional sports background and how that affects your jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, so I actually played professional basketball, not in the NBA, but in the lower level professionals. Played overseas and different lower level IBL, ABA, and played in college and junior college, and the top junior college and college in the nation. And being at a high level in a different sport, you appreciate a top athlete and their desire, their attention to detail, and how they, their character. Basically, character really for me kind of dictates if they're going to be a winner in different situations or if they're not going to succeed. So. When it comes to Rhalan, he's top notch. You know, I trained at a high level in basketball. I want to train at a high level in jiu-jitsu. That's why when I've trained with a few people, I want to make sure I'm learning from the top guys. Not, nothing better, but nothing but the top. That's what I want to train with. So, when it comes to Rhalan, like I said, it's actually like threefold. One, as a person. He's an awesome person. He's very caring. He's very giving. He'll give you the shirt off his back. As an instructor, he's very instructional. You can tell he cares. Like, sometimes he'll be teaching somebody 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes, and because he wants that person to get it down correctly. Mm-hmm. And then it's the athlete. When it comes to that, I mean, he's an assassin, like I told you before. He's high character. He's humble. He's very respectful, but it like that, and then he turns into assassin. So, right. It's cool.
Jordan, do you see any parallels between the mindset of the highest level athletes in basketball and jiu-jitsu?
Yes, I actually do. In basketball, the professionals, they think a lot. They train their reactions, and everything is thinking. Setting somebody up, understanding mismatches and things of that nature. And from what I've learned, you know, when you roll against the high-level jiu-jitsu guys, it's the same exact thing. It's all set up. It's all knowing when to go fast, knowing when to go slow, knowing when to be patient, knowing when to relax, you know, and there's absolutely 100%, it's parallel. It actually, I've been training jiu-jitsu for a long time, off and on, and jiu-jitsu 100% helped my basketball. It's like, I used to train jiu-jitsu in my off season just to help my basketball. The mindset, being relaxed, being focused, breathing, you know, it helped free throws. Jiu-jitsu helped my basketball.
100%. In jiu-jitsu, you can't go 100% all the time, right?
Right. You got to know when to be patient. You got to know when to attack. You got to know when to set somebody up. You know, you got to know when somebody's too aggressive and they're going to make the mistake themselves. So you got to be patient. It 100% translated over to basketball. And me being a point guard, I'm the small guy on the court, so I have to think. I'm not going to, you know, bully or be big like Shaquille O'Neal. I got to think and set people up and know when to take advantage of, you know, mistakes, so to speak.
In jiu-jitsu, you know, all the top guys, they know all the same techniques more or less. Is it the same in basketball? Are they all the same technical level? Is it the mindset that sets them apart?
Mindset, 100%. Like, you know, in the NBA, everybody can dunk, everybody can shoot, you know, everybody can, you know, everybody's big, you know. It's just the confidence level. It's the ability to read mistakes, timing, you know, things of that nature. You know, obviously opportunities, it's you know, it's a sport, a team sport, and you know, jiu-jitsu is individual. But at the high level, they think. They have the sharpest minds. They have the sharpest minds, and their reactions are technically sound to react when they see that mistake or see that opportunity.
Do you think that mindset just develops naturally through experience, or do you think there are certain ways to cultivate it?
Definitely a lot of reps. You know, definitely getting a lot of experience, but you know, having a teacher, a coach, a parent, you know, a guardian, a role model, some type of figure in your life that's actually going to show you the proper way to do things and the proper way to react is I think key. You know, I think that's key. When I was coming out of high school, I went to a top junior college in the nation. We were like ranked like second or third. And when you're the point guard on the court, you have to be the best free throw shooter. Have to be. Because at the end of the game, who has the ball? The point guard. They're gonna foul you. You gotta, at the end of the game, you gotta make your free throws. And for whatever reason in high school, I couldn't figure it out. You know what I mean? I lost like 3 games in high school because my numbnuts head couldn't. So when I went to junior college, during the summer was the only time I was able to train. So I used to drive an hour and a half to Pacific Palisades to train at Hickson's place. And I had 6 weeks to do it. And finally the 6th week I show up and Hickson's right there and I'm like, oh. So I'm taking his class. He comes over and kicks me and stuff like that. No, he didn't kick me, that was a joke. But he, at the end of his workout, he went through his breathing routine. And he explained how your lungs are shaped like a bottle and you want to fill the air up on the bottom and not get all the air caught on the top. And, you know, he kind of showed the routine and everything like that. And I practiced that. And I went from a horrible free throw shooter to breaking my junior college records in free throw. And all I added to my game was the breathing technique at the free throw. I would sit there, I'd get the free throw and I breathe and just relax and totally just. And I went to junior college, all the way to college and into the pros, and I was always close to 90% free throw shooter. And I specifically remember that was the changing component in my life that added that to my basketball game. So thank you, Master Hickson, I appreciate it.
So perhaps a controversial question. What's the biggest mistake that you see maybe teachers making when they're teaching jiu-jitsu or when students are sparring?
I don't like to judge other people's approach, but sometimes, let's say, like first with instruction, I think sometimes, and I think this has to do a lot of times with the pressure of the class, because when you're teaching a class, you want people to be entertained and you want people to have a good time and enjoy your class. And sometimes that pressure starts to make you want to teach and show things that are very fancy and very elusive and but for a beginning student might not be the right time or a technique that has a very sound and fundamental aspect to it. It might be look good and it might, you know, acquire 2 points. But I think as an instructor, for the most part, especially when you're talking about building like a new generation of jiu-jitsu generations, I think it's very important to embrace the first thing, fundamentals, right? Like my dad would always say, like, you can't build a house on mud, right? And that's always stuck with me. Like, and so sometimes, like, I know that if the fundamentals are taught well, I think it can be very entertaining, and people really actually start to absorb it, and they're intrigued by it because it's leverage, it's timing, it's details, right? And these details make you faster, make you stronger, make you heavier, right? With good details. But if you don't have that, if you don't have, I think, a very sound upbringing in jiu-jitsu where you have a, you know, not just a good guard, but good mount escape, good mount attacks, good back mount escape, good back mount attacks, a good half guard, good top, good of sound, complete game, right? As an instructor, I think that's very important because I think when you're kind of holding that responsibility, it's kind of, in my opinion, your duty to kind of give a beginner that complete, sound, fundamental game. Now, like I said, I don't like to judge anybody on their approach. I think there's instructors for all different styles, and some people's, you know, focus may be, you know, they're very good at a certain part of the game, and that's what they give to everybody, and they disregard maybe other parts of the game, like mount escape. Like I see a lot of schools not emphasizing a good mount escape. And so going back to the beginning part of your question, when what I see in training, when people are training, like, protect your neck. You know, protect your neck, keep your arms tight. Like when things don't go your favor, your way, a lot of times people are quick just to like scramble and do something a little bit high risk. You know, when I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, it's maybe not favorable for you, but like, okay, weather the storm, right? Protect your neck, protect your arms, and kind of build your way back out of that hole, you know? So being able to dig yourself out of a deep hole is something I think Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and my father really implemented in me. And I picture my dad like when I, son, you know mount escape? You don't know mount escape? Okay, boom, on the bottom. And then he shows me the mount escape. Okay, you know the mount escape now? Yeah, I think I got it. All right, my friend, you, mount my son. Son, escape. And then escape out. You, mount my son. And he would be on there, a lot of pressure to like have to do the right mount escape against all different people. And I think a lot of times, in my case, or what I would say like that, when I see other situations, is a lot of times they focus on the sweep, on this, and then when it comes down to like defending yourself and like knowing how to defend yourself when you got a beast on top of you, putting all kinds of pressure to stick to your guns and to believe in what you were taught. That's what I appreciate.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Let's talk about competition for a moment. For starters, what's your best competition memory?
Well, there's a couple good ones. I think one that I'm pretty proud of is was in 2013. It was the U.S. Open here. It was a black belt match. It was my first black belt match here in NorCal after moving to NorCal, and it was like, you know, I guess U.S. Open's been in this area, so all the jiu-jitsu guys have been through the U.S. Open. So it was kind of a new ground for me, but I was new to this area, and I kind of wanted to. So that was kind of a big moment. I actually ended up going with Clement Shields, Jake Shields' brother, which was very interesting because I trained with Jake Shields almost every day, and now I'm competing with his brother in the first match here, and it was a very tough match. I mean, Clement came out the gate strong. The guy is very strong, very good guy, very tough competitor. I have most respect for him, and he had actually put me in some tough positions, and so much to where, like, again, kind of going back to what I said a moment ago, I believed in what I was taught, and I was able to kind of not only defend the attacks, but then end on his back with a choke from the back. And, you know, I just thought that moment was kind of a very, very defining moment for me in some ways. One, because I was out of my home. I was new in the area. I was kind of, I felt like, I was training with a lot of people that are all around him, so like kind of everybody knew my game, and everybody was kind of and I was just the underdog in that case. I felt, regardless of the name and everything, I just felt like I was walking into someone else's house, and so that choke for me was a pretty a good choke to have for me.
Nice. So when we look around at the jiu-jitsu world, it's easy to see the world champions, they're on magazine covers and on video and whatnot. Do you think that world champions are the best in the world at jiu-jitsu?
Well, I think a world champion is a world champion because they have done that, right? They won that tournament at that time, and that gives them the credibility of saying I'm a world champion. So what's done is done, but I think there's a lot of people that are amazing that might not always be out there competing in those certain events. So it's hard to say, like, I think there's a lot of high caliber people who might not just be in that specific event, but a world champion is a world champion, and if they put themselves out there on that day and they signed up and they competed and they won that day, they're a world champion.
There are a lot of different events now as well, and sometimes the same guys don't compete in the same events. So how do you, in your mind, how do you determine this person is great at jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, good question. There are a lot of different rule sets now. A lot of different rule sets. You got no-gi tournaments, you got submission-only tournaments, you got, timed, it's all different kinds of tournaments. And sometimes what might be the champion at one rule set might not be the champion in another rule set. I think respect is due or respect is given, and if someone has proven themselves in different levels, I mean, that's always to be respected. But when it comes to, like, there's athletes, there's instructors, and then there's people that kind of like also live the lifestyle, right? And it's just different. There's different elements. Some people are very good athletes, and they show up and they compete and they win. Other people are very good instructors, and they have a lot of knowledge, and they might not compete or perform as well, but they got a lot of knowledge and have that to offer. As opposed to athlete might not have so much knowledge and might not be able to offer so much, but competes very well at a very high level and wins world championships. So I think that when it comes to being sound, I think it's just, there's different ways to come at jiu-jitsu, and for me, I think jiu-jitsu is very complete. Self-defense, gi, no gi, you should be able to do well in all those aspects. Punches, no punches, gi, like I said, no gi. I love to train all different things. If the guy wants to train no gi one day, I'd love to train no gi with them. If they want to train gi one day, I'd love to train gi with them. MMA, I love to train MMA too. But like when these guys go into tournaments, they specialize, right? Like if there's gonna have world championships, a lot of times they'll be doing gi only and win for those rule set, So I think if your jiu-jitsu can be malleable, and if you have principles and fundamentals that can kind of keep you doing well in all different elements, I think that's sound jiu-jitsu. I think if you need a gi and you're only good in a gi, I question your jiu-jitsu. If you're only good in no gi and you only do no gi, I question your jiu-jitsu. That's something that, like, jiu-jitsu should transcend those things a little bit. It's more about distribution, timing, leverage, and I think those things can be done in gi, no gi, MMA. So I think jiu-jitsu is bigger than just one rule set. And sometimes one guy might perform great in this rule set and lose in that rule set, but does that make him any less of a jiu-jitsu athlete or a jiu-jitsu practitioner? I don't think so. It's just that's the sport we play. You win today, you lose tomorrow, you win again the next day, the day after that. So I guess that's my answer there.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you're still in the prime of your career, teaching and competing. But when you look at the end of your career, when you look back at everything, what do you want to be remembered for?
I don't really like to look that far ahead. I I just try to take it one day at a time. I try my best. I've made my mistakes. I've learned my best from those mistakes. You know, and I just try my best to do and leave a good impression on everybody. Whether it's a white belt that comes in to do a class with me, whether it's a high-level athlete that happens to be in the same place and let's train together, and I love to train with them, or if it's someone that's just on the street, you know, and I'm just at the supermarket, you know. So, I don't know, I guess every moment, I'm trying my best to be a better person, a bigger person, not just isolate myself by one category, but, you know, Jiu-Jitsu is a platform for me, Jiu-Jitsu is a tool for me, Jiu-Jitsu has given me a lot of great benefits and a lot of great gifts, and I guess I just like to share those gifts. I want to open people to those gifts. I want to, and sometimes people talk about Jiu-Jitsu, I'm like, man, maybe you need to come do a class with me, you know, like you need to see a different side of it. And some people, you know, so it's just like, yeah, I don't like to think too far ahead, and I just try my best to do what I can now with the tools I have now and the resources I have now. And again, I've made my mistakes. I've made, you know, many mistakes. I think we all have made our mistakes. But what do I do about that? You know, how do I take that going forward? So, yeah, Jiu-Jitsu's given me a lot, man. It continues, and a lot of happiness, a lot of happy moments. I got my little daughter who's 10 months now, and she's got her gi. She's got a black belt, but it's only valid till 2 years old. That's what I tell people. At 2 years old, she starts back at white belt. But so I'm just very grateful for that, and I try to show my appreciation. I try to, you know, let my character and my actions determine that. You know.
Thanks, Rhalan. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, Jake. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks.
What you want?
I know that escape. That's a good escape. Grip, man. Gotta let go for your life. Thanks, my brother.
Being the son of a jiu-jitsu pioneer and training partner to some of the toughest players in the sport, Rhalan Gracie finds himself in a unique position as a bridge between the traditional and the modern. Now with a family of his own, it's up to him to preserve the traditions of his legendary namesake.